What happens when a privileged Chinese billionaire's son publicly humiliates his Filipino classmate, and his powerful father discovers the truth? This story from an international school in Singapore will shake you. Chen Wei thought wealth made him untouchable. His father, Chairman Chen, had different ideas about respect and character. Stay until the shocking ending. Chen Wei was 17, the only son of Chairman Chen Liming, founder of Chen Global Industries worth $12 billion. He attended Singapore International Academy, the region's most prestigious school. Chen Wei drove a Mercedes to school, wore designer clothes daily, and treated classmates like servants beneath him. His arrogance knew no bounds. But his father had built an empire from nothing, and never forgot his humble beginnings. Paolo Reyes was also 17, a scholar from Manila who earned his place through pure academic excellence. His father worked construction in Dubai, sending every spare dollar home to support Paolo's education dreams. Paolo studied in the library while others partied, wore the same 3 uniforms rotated weekly. His scholarship covered tuition but not the lifestyle. Still, he maintained top grades and quiet dignity despite constant whispers. The mockery started small. Chen Wei laughing at Paolo's worn backpack, outdated phone, simple packed lunches. Then it escalated. Chen Wei would loudly comment about scholarship kids who don't belong here whenever Paolo entered. He'd bump Paolo's books off desks, make jokes about the help in front of teachers who said nothing. Paolo endured silently, focusing on his studies, knowing education was his only way forward. Everything changed during the economics group project worth 40% of their final grade. The teacher paired Chen Wei with Paolo deliberately, hoping cooperation would teach empathy. Chen Wei's face turned red with rage at the announcement. He immediately demanded a partner change, calling Paolo dead weight publicly. The teacher refused firmly. Chen Wei stormed out, already planning to sabotage everything. Quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and drop a love emoji below. The father's reaction will shock you. Now let's see what happened next. Chen Wei refused to attend group meetings, ignoring Paolo's respectful messages about dividing the work fairly. 2 weeks before the deadline, Chen Wei sent one cruel text: "Do whatever. I'll fix your mistakes before submission anyway. Try not to embarrass yourself." Paolo worked alone every night, researching thoroughly, creating detailed presentations, writing comprehensive reports. He did both their parts without complaint. The day before submission, Chen Wei finally reviewed Paolo's work, and was shocked by its exceptional quality. Paolo had analyzed Asian economic trends with brilliant insights, created professional presentations, and written arguments better than Chen Wei could manage. Instead of gratitude, Chen Wei felt threatened. His jealousy turned into something darker and more vengeful. Submission morning, Chen Wei did the unthinkable. He deleted Paolo's name from every slide and document. He submitted the project as solely his own work, claiming Paolo contributed nothing, and refused to participate. Paolo discovered this betrayal in class when the teacher announced Chen Wei's solo project with confusion. Paolo's face went pale. Everything he'd worked for, gone. Paolo tried explaining to the teacher, showing his emails, his research drafts, his work timeline. But Chen Wei was prepared with fake screenshots, manipulated dates, and confident lies about carrying the lazy scholarship student. Other wealthy students backed Chen Wei's story. The teacher, overwhelmed and honestly uncertain, said she'd investigate but couldn't change the submission now. Paolo faced potential failure. That evening, Paolo sat alone in the library fighting tears of frustration and injustice. His scholarship required maintaining perfect grades. One failure meant returning to Manila, his father's sacrifices wasted. Chen Wei had stolen not just credit but Paolo's entire future with calculated cruelty. Paolo had never felt so powerless against wealth's ability to rewrite truth. He didn't know someone was already investigating. What Chen Wei didn't know, Singapore International Academy had recently installed campus-wide surveillance cameras, including in library study rooms. The IT department kept footage for 90 days. And Chen Wei's own father, Chairman Chen, was on the school's board of directors. He attended every board meeting, unlike other wealthy parents who sent assistants. He believed in accountability, even for his son. The economics teacher, still troubled by the situation, mentioned the disputed project during a routine board meeting. Chairman Chen's ears perked up hearing his son's name connected to plagiarism accusations. He requested to review the complete situation personally before any official decision. The teacher provided everything: submissions, emails, student statements. Chairman Chen asked for one more thing: the security footage. Chairman Chen spent his entire Sunday reviewing weeks of library footage himself, not delegating to staff. He watched Paolo working alone night after night, researching diligently, typing presentations, organizing materials. He never saw his son appear once. Then he watched Chen Wei deleting Paolo's name from files the morning before submission, smirking while doing it. Chairman Chen's face hardened like stone. Monday morning, Chairman Chen arrived at school unannounced in his usual simple business suit, asking to speak with both students immediately. Chen Wei swaggered into the office confidently, assuming his father would fix everything with money or influence like always. Paolo entered nervously, expecting expulsion. Neither was prepared for what happened next in that wood-paneled office. Chairman Chen stood by the window, back to both students, voice ice-cold. "Chen Wei, tell me exactly what happened with this economics project." Chen Wei launched into his rehearsed lies confidently, how Paolo refused to work, how he'd done everything himself, how scholarship students were unprepared for this school's standards. Paolo sat silently, head down, accepting defeat. Then Chairman Chen turned around, eyes blazing with fury. "I have watched every hour of security footage," Chairman Chen said quietly, each word cutting like a blade. "I watched Paolo Reyes work alone in the library for 3 weeks straight while you partied. I watched him complete work that should have been shared. And I watched you delete his name from files he created." Chen Wei's confident smirk crumbled instantly. Color drained from his face completely. "Father, I can explain," Chen Wei started desperately. Chairman Chen raised one hand for silence. "You have explained enough with your actions. You stole another student's work. You lied to teachers. You attempted to destroy someone's future because you felt threatened by his excellence despite his poverty." His voice cracked with disappointment and shame. "I built our company on integrity. You have brought disgrace." Chairman Chen turned to Paolo with an expression of profound respect and apology. "Mr. Reyes, I apologize for my son's unconscionable behavior. No father should have to apologize for raising someone so dishonorable, yet here I am." Paolo looked up, shocked to be addressed with such courtesy by a billionaire. "Your work will receive full credit. Chen Wei will receive 0 for plagiarism and academic dishonesty." "But father, that means I fail economics. My university applications," Chen Wei protested frantically. "Yes. You will fail," Chairman Chen confirmed without hesitation. "You will also be withdrawing from Singapore International Academy immediately. Not because I'm pulling you out, but because you are expelled effective today. The board has already voted unanimously based on the evidence I provided them this morning." Chen Wei's world collapsed in that moment. Elite school gone, university dreams shattered, social status destroyed. But Chairman Chen wasn't finished with consequences. "You will not be returning to our Shanghai penthouse or our Hong Kong villa. You will be living in our company's worker dormitory in Guangzhou, where I started 40 years ago. You will work in our factory, earning minimum wage like I once did. You will learn what real work means, what respect costs, what character requires," Chairman Chen continued relentlessly. "Every dollar you earn, half will go to charity in Mr. Reyes's name. You will live this way for 1 full year before I even consider allowing you back into any school. Maybe poverty will teach you the empathy wealth clearly hasn't." Chen Wei tried appealing to his mother, his grandparents, anyone who might soften his father's punishment. But Chairman Chen had already informed the entire family, who unanimously supported the decision after seeing the footage. Chen Wei's expensive car was sold. His credit cards were cancelled. His designer clothes were donated. Within 48 hours, he was on a plane to Guangzhou with 1 suitcase. Paolo sat in stunned silence as Chairman Chen turned back to him with an entirely different expression. Warm, respectful, almost fatherly. "Mr. Reyes, I have a question for you. My company needs young people with your character, work ethic, and brilliance. Would you consider a full scholarship that covers not just tuition but living expenses, plus a guarantee of internship placement?" Paolo's eyes filled with tears he'd been holding back for weeks of humiliation and stress. "Sir, I don't know what to say. Why would you do this after what your son did?" Chairman Chen smiled sadly. "Because you remind me of myself at 17, working harder than everyone, dismissed by the wealthy, proving worth through character alone. I was once you, Mr. Reyes. I came from a village so poor we shared 1 textbook among 5 students," Chairman Chen continued softly. "Wealthy classmates mocked my patched clothes, my rural accent, my calloused hands. But one teacher saw my potential, gave me a scholarship, changed my life. I swore if I ever succeeded, I would do the same for others. You are exactly the kind of young person I want to invest in." The Chen Global Industries scholarship was announced the following week, with Paolo as the inaugural recipient. Full tuition, housing stipend, meal allowance, internship guarantee, and mentorship from Chairman Chen himself. The story spread through Singapore International Academy like wildfire. Students who had ignored or mocked Paolo suddenly wanted to befriend him. Paolo remained kind but never forgot who stood by him. In Guangzhou, Chen Wei experienced the shock of real life for the first time. He woke at 5 a.m. for factory shifts, wore the same blue uniform as everyone else, earned barely enough for basic dormitory living. His soft hands developed blisters from assembly line work. Co-workers who didn't know his background treated him with the same casual disregard he'd shown Paolo. The lesson cut deep. 6 months into his punishment, Chen Wei was allowed one supervised video call with his father. Chairman Chen saw a transformed young man, thinner, harder, humbler. "How are you, son?" the chairman asked. Chen Wei's voice cracked. "I understand now, father. I understand what I did to Paolo, what I've been my whole life. I'm ashamed. I don't know if I can ever make this right." "Acknowledgement is the first step," Chairman Chen said gently. "You have 6 more months. Use them to truly change, not just to endure. Then we'll discuss your future." Chen Wei nodded, tears streaming. "Father, is he doing well?" "Exceptional. Top of his class, impressive internship work, bright future. Everything you could have been if you'd chosen character over arrogance." Paolo graduated Singapore International Academy as valedictorian 3 years later, delivering a speech about resilience, dignity, and second chances that brought teachers to tears. Chairman Chen sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Chen Wei watched via livestream from Guangzhou, where he'd completed his punishment year and was now working his way through community college, genuinely earning his education this time. Paolo went on to study economics at Oxford on another Chen Global Industries scholarship, then returned to work for the company as a junior analyst. He never sought revenge against Chen Wei, never spoke badly about him publicly. When asked why, Paolo said simply, his father taught him accountability. "I don't need to add to that lesson. I'd rather focus on my own path forward." 5 years after the incident, Chen Wei, now 23 and genuinely transformed, finally earned his way back into his father's business, starting at entry level despite his last name. His first day, he walked into a meeting and saw Paolo, now a rising senior analyst. Their eyes met. Chen Wei approached, bowed deeply, and said, "I owe you an apology I can never fully make." Paolo extended his hand for a handshake, offering forgiveness Chen Wei hadn't earned but desperately needed. "We were 17 and stupid. You've changed. That's what matters." They would never be friends, but they became respectful colleagues. Chairman Chen watched this interaction from his office, satisfied that both young men had learned the lessons that mattered most: humility, accountability, grace. So what happened when a rich Chinese student mocked his Filipino classmate and his father found out? 2 lives transformed completely. One learned that wealth without character is worthless. Another learned that dignity and hard work eventually triumph over cruelty. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all, it's succeeding so well that the story rewrites itself. Thank you for watching until the end.